sailors tell terrible stories about the Gyarados. I think this might be... It may be Dragon Rage! Dragon Rage?
Hey. What is up, guys? CT Kidney here, and today we're gonna be rocking some Drac Theory Evoker. Evoker is one of my favorite classes in the game right now because it is just so fun to play and it's so unique. So, I mean, without further ado, let's get into the guide. I'm having so much fun with this class, and I hope I can teach y'all how to have some fun with this class too. So here's how it works, okay? You're a male caster, you wear mail, and you have two resources. You have mana and you have essence. Now, mana is not so important for casters unless you're an arcane mage, and essence is going to be what we use for disintegrate and pyre, two of our main damaging abilities. Now, what I'm going to do with this guide is I'm going to teach you how to play the class and go over the talents and the stats and everything that you're going to need to get good at Evoker before Raid drops tomorrow and M Plus drops tomorrow, and hopefully y'all can pull some big numbers like I've been doing. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to go over the talents. This is going to be for the single target build. Landslide, you just get, it's a root in front of you. It's not great, but it's okay. Obsidian Scales is a 30% damage reduction for 12 seconds. Expunge is going to remove all poisons from an ally or yourself on an 8-second cooldown. Disintegrate channels 20% faster. This is needed. This is so good for us. Permeating Chill. Blue spells slow things. It's meh. Verdant Embrace is a really good ability. It's going to give us some passive healing for an ally, and also it, more importantly, is a dash. So you can use this to dash to an ally and heal them for a little bit if they've been damaged. Or just use it as mobility. Obsidian Bulwark is going to give us another charge of Obsidian Scales. Really nice. And Kindle does 6% more damage on our main filler spell, Living Flame. Scarlet Adaptation is going to store 20% of effective healing, and our next damaging Living Flame will consume that and do more damage. This is really cool because, like I just said, we have some passive healing with Verdant Embrace, but we also have more passive healing later. Quell is our interrupt. It's just going to interrupt. It goes from 40 to 20 seconds with a talent. Here we can choose whether or not we want to lower the cooldown on Wing Buffet or Tail Swipe. I personally chose Tail Swipe because it's a stun instead of a knockback, and one of those is a little bit better. Cauterizing Flame removes all bleed, poison, curse, and diseases from a target and heals them for a good amount. Note that it won't heal them if it doesn't purge anything. So if they don't have anything on them, you can't just use this for a heal. But again, more just tacked on healing that we have that will help with Scarlet Adaptation. Instinctive Arcana, 4% more damage, need to be taken. Tip the Scales is a fantastic cooldown. It's basically Palm. It's going to make our next charge spell instant cast and full leveled up. This is going to be really good for AoE with a macro that we can macro it to Fire Breath. Draconic Legacy is just 4% more stamina, always nice. Inherent Resistance is just 4% less magic damage, always nice. Extended Flight has our hover last 4 seconds longer. Hover allows us to cast while moving, and it's also a dash and gives us a little bit of a movement speed. Blast Furnace increases the duration of Fire Breath by 4 seconds. Super great. Source of Magic, we buff a healer, and when we cast empowered spells, they get mana back for each level of empowerment that we cast. So we just give our healers back mana throughout the fight. Super nice. Panacea is going to give our Emerald Blossom an instant heal on us. So that's going to instant heal, and then when it pops, it's going to give us another heal. So a good amount of healing there. Regenerative Magic is going to buff our Source of Magic so that the healer that we buffed heals us automatically when we are below 50% HP for 15% of the healing that they do. So just more passive healing that we get for free. Rescue is a really cool ability. It's like Life Grip, except instead of pulling them to us, we can bring them anywhere we want within 30 yards. So we can use this to pull people out of dangerous stuff. Gonna be super cool to see how people use this in Raid Mythic Plus. Renewing Blaze, this is going to give us a buff for 8 seconds, and while this buff is active, we heal for 100% of the damage taken over 8 seconds. So if this doesn't kill you, if an ability doesn't kill you, you're going to heal for all of that damage over 8 seconds, and it's fantastic. Really good for ambient damage, and again, more healing for Scarlet Adaptation. Aerial Mastery gives us one more charge of hover. Fire Within is going to reduce the cooldown of Renewing Blaze by a minute or by 30 seconds. Zephyr is going to be a party-wide buff, or the 5 nearest allies in your raid, and it's going to reduce AoE damage taken by 20%, as well as increasing movement speed by 30%. Pretty nice. And then Pyre, because we have to take it, it's just an AoE ability. Ruby and Azure Essence Burst. This is going to give us our procs of Essence Burst, which is going to be used inside of our Shatter Star windows. Dense Energy reduces the cost of Pyre by 1. Imposing Presence reduces Quell's cooldown by 20 seconds. Eternity Surge is our second charge ability that hits more targets the longer we charge it. Note, it doesn't increase the damage the longer we charge it, just hits more targets. Power Nexus increases our maximum essence by 1, so now it's 6 instead of 5. Dragon Rage is our main DPS cooldown. It does 40 damage. Arcane Intensity, I'm joking. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Dragon Rage is going to make sure that Essence Burst procs every single time we use Living Flame or Azure Strike. So that's going to change up the rotation quite a bit, but I'll get into that in the rotation section. Super fun ability, and has some great synergy talents coming up. Arcane Intensity increases disintegrate damage by 16%, always nice. Engulfing Blaze. Living Flame deals 40% more damage, but its cast time is increased by 0.5 seconds. This is negated a little bit by talents we take later, but it's still really, really good. Animosity, casting an empowered spell during Dragon Rage, increases its duration by 6 seconds. So you're going to want to use your empowered spells in Dragon Rage, but again, I'll get into that in the rotation section. Essence Attunement is going to increase the maximum amount of Essence Burst stacks we can have by 1, so it increases it to 2, which is going to be great again for our Shatter Star burst windows. Heat Wave, 40% more damage on Fire Breath, always nice. Titanic Wrath, Essence Burst increases the damage of the affected spell by 15%, so that's 15% more damage on Pyre or Disintegrate. Causality, Essence abilities reduce the remaining cooldown of Eternity Surge by 1 second. So what this is going to do is every time we use Disintegrate or Pyre, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Eternity Surge. And if you'll recall, in Dragon Rage, while we are in it, casting Empower abilities has it last longer, which is super nice. Then we have Catalyze. While channeling Disintegrate, your Fire Breath ticks 100% more often. Super great. More dots. Tyranny. During Deep Breath and Dragon Rage, you gain the maximum benefit of your Mastery, Giant Killer, regardless of the target's health. Mastery is one of our best stats, so this is fantastic for us. Shatter Star is a mini Colossus Smash. For 20 seconds, they take 6% more damage from us when we use it. It also does a little bit of damage. So this is when you're going to want to use most of your procs, but again, I'm going to go over that in the rotation section. Font of Magic increases our maximum levels of our empowered spells by 1. We just take this so that we can get to these two talents. This doesn't matter on single target. Spellweaver's Dominance makes Critical Strike really good for us. Our crits just do 20% more damage. Super great. Focusing Iris increases Shattering Star's damage window by 2 seconds. So it normally would be 4, but now it's 6. Burnout gives our Fire Breath a 16% chance to cause Living Flame to be instant cast every time it deals damage, and it can stack up to 2. This means that Engulfing Flame just does 40% more damage if we get a Burnout proc, because it makes it instant cast. That's why these two talents just synergize so well together. Scintillation. Disintegration has a 15% chance each time it deals damage to cast a level 1 Eternity Surge at 60% power. So Disintegrate deals damage 4 times. So that means you have 15, 30, 45, 60% chance to cast a 60% power Eternity Surge. Feed the Flames. Consuming Essence Burst reduces the cooldown of Fire Breath by 2 seconds. Again, just like Causality, this is going to mean that our Dragon Rage windows are extended so much. because we are going to be getting an Essence Burst every other global cooldown, meaning that Fire Breath is going to get its cooldown reduced by a lot, and every time we use Fire Breath or Eternity Surge, our Dragon Rage duration is increased. And then we have Hoarded Power, which is just a 20% chance to not consume an Essence Burst after we use it. Again, works really well with Dragon Rage and Feed the Flames and Causality. That's going to be our single target talents. Now I'm going to go over the AoE ones. And in the AoE tree, not a lot changes. You can see that we take Protracted Talons here, we take Leaping Flames here, and we take Terror in the Skies. And the reason we do that is because Protracted Talons is just one more target for our Azure Strike, which is really good. Leaping Flames, Fire Breath, causes your next Living Flame to strike one additional target per empowerment level. So if we charge Fire Breath to level 4, it's going to hit 4 additional targets. Really, really nice. And then Terror in the Skies just has Deep Breath stun things for 3 seconds, which synergizes really well with another talent that we take. And the Devastation tree actually doesn't change super much. It's a little bit different, but not much different. So we take Volatility. Pyre has a chance to flare up and attack again, which is super nice. Eternity Span, which makes Shattering Star and Eternity Surge hit twice as many targets. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 2, 4, 6, 8. Charged Blast. Whenever you deal damage with a blue spell, your next Pyre does 5% more damage, stacking up to 20 times. That works really well with Azure Strike, because Azure Strike will hit 3 targets, will hit up to 3 targets, and Eternity Surge will hit up to 8 targets. So you're going to stack this very, very quickly. And then we have Onyx Legacy, which reduces the cooldown of Deep Breath by 1 minute, again synergizing with Terror in the Skies. And that's going to be our talents for both single target and AoE. And now we're going to go ahead and get into the rotations. Alright, so now we're going to go over the single target rotation. The single target rotation is basically fishing for Essence Burst procs and then spending them in your Shatter Star window along with Eternity Surge, while also keeping Fire Breath up 100 as much as you can. You can't have 100% uptime, but as much as you can. So here's how it's going to go. Fire Breath, Shatter Star, Eternity Surge, Disintegrate, put another Disintegrate in there. And then now we're going to fish for some Essence Burst procs. Hopefully we can get one. At least one, sadly. Sadly, not even one. Wow, that's sad. So, Disintegrate. And then Living Flame. We got one. Now I'm going to refresh Fire Breath before my Shadow Star window is up. I'm going to go in Shadow Star, Eternity Surge, Essence Burst. And then we're going to fish for more procs. And it's really that simple. That's honestly going to be the whole rotation for single target. You're just going to get your Shadow Star windows and then use Disintegrate whenever you can inside of those, and also Eternity Surge while keeping Fire Breath up. One thing you can also do is you can throw a Burnout proc inside of the very end of your Shattering Star window for a little bit of extra damage. It's kind of cheeky. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. It's going to depend. Alright, now I'm going to go over the Dragon Rage rotation. So the Dragon Rage rotation is going to look a little bit like this. So you're going to want to Shatter Star first, because every global cooldown inside of Dragon Rage matters. So you're going to go Shatter Star, Dragon Rage, Fire Breath, Eternity Surge, Azure Strike, into Disintegrate, Azure Strike, Disintegrate. I got a Burnout proc, so I use that. Shatter Star, Disintegrate, 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 and then I'm going to use Tip the Scales for the instant proc of Flame Breath. Eternity Surge, Shadow Star, Azure Strike, Disintegrate, Living Flame with the Burnout proc, Disintegrate, and that's going to be the whole thing. It's really just trying to extend your Dragon Rage window as much as possible by using your charge spells and keeping Shadow Star off cooldown so you get that extra damage. and weaving in the burnout procs when you get them because they're instant cast. And if you don't have a burnout proc, you're gonna use Azure Strikes as your filler instead. All right, and now we're gonna go over the AoE rotation. Now this thing is incredibly explosive and super bursty. So here's how it's gonna go. First, the talents. You're gonna want Volatility, you're gonna want Eternity Span, you're gonna want Charge Blast, and you're gonna want Onyx Legacy. This is gonna be the ideal setup for AoE, basically anything 3 or more targets. So here's how you do a huge burst opener, right? So you're going to want to open up with Deep Breath, right? Open up with Deep Breath, and then go Dragon Rage, Trinkets, Instant Fire Breath, Eternity Surge after using a Shatter Star. And then you're going to go Azure Strike, Pyre, Azure Strike, Pyre, Azure Strike, Pyre, just like the normal Dragon Rage rotation, except with Pyre instead of Disintegrate. And you're going to want a Eternity Surge, or not Eternity Surge, you're going to want Shatter Star off cooldown, and then you're going to go ahead and charge the Fire Breath as much as you can. And then you're going to want to throw another Eternity Surge as much as you can. Again, charge it as much as you can, but without Dragon Rage falling off. If you can get a full charge, fantastic. If not, doesn't matter. Alright, and that's going to be the rotation. One thing I actually didn't do there is after using my full charge Fire Blast at the start, or Fire Breath at the start, I forgot to use my Leaping Flames proc, and that would do a lot more damage because Leaping Flames makes your next Living Flame hit 4 additional targets if you full charge it. And that's going to be the AoE rotation for if you have all of your cooldowns up. That is going to absolutely destroy any pack. But what if you have none of your cooldowns up? Right, so here's how it's going to look if you don't have any of your cooldowns up. No Trinket, no Tip the Scales, no Dragon Rage. Here's how it's going to look. You're still going to want to charge Fire Breath to the appropriate amount of targets. And then go with Shatter Star and Eternity Surge to the appropriate amount of targets. And then you're going to want to go ahead and Deep Breath. And then you're going to Pyre until you can't Pyre no more. Make sure you use your Leaping Flames proc as well. Pyre until you can't Pyre anymore. And then you're going to Azure Strike when you're all out of stuff to do. Until your Fire Breath comes back up, full charge. And then just recycle the whole thing. Pyre until you can't Pyre no more. Use your Leaping Flames proc. And then Azure Strike, Pyre until you can't Pyre anymore. Azure Strike. Azure Strike, get an Essence Burst proc, use it on Fire. And that's going to be the whole thing. Alright, and last but not least, I'm going to go over the stats that you want and the order of their importance. So our best stats, actually Crit and Mastery are tied right now for our best stat. The reason being Mastery just increases our damage by a crazy amount based on the target's current health. The more health they have, the more damage we do. And Crit is so good because, in part, the giant damage that we do to high health targets, if those spells crit, they're gonna hit for even harder. But also because of our talent Spellweaver's Dominance, we just do 20% more crit damage. So these two stats actually synergize so well together. I would recommend getting gear with equal amount crit and mastery. If you can't, then get high crit, high mastery, or high mastery, high crit, some exchange of the two. I would try to avoid gear with versatility on it. It's not good for us at all. It's just a flat damage increase, not cool. Haste is okay. If you can't find gear with crit and mastery on it, I would recommend a high stat of one of the two and then low mastery, or not low mastery, low haste. Because that's going to be the best thing that you could possibly get. And with that, I mean, that's the stats covered, that's the rotations covered, that's going to be pretty much everything covered. I'm going to go ahead and call it here, but I hope y'all enjoyed the guide. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Anything you think I missed, again, please leave them. I'm going to be pumping out more Evoker content because this is going to be my main going into this expansion. I really enjoy playing it. I really love the play style. And I'm hoping to provide y'all with some great content up and coming. So I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.